kí wọ́n bọ́ ta ọ̀sẹ̀ kan sọ́sẹ̀ méjì ó padà lọ gbowó ọkọ̀ rẹ̀ abọ́ lóòótì ìgbọ́n pa Deluxe ni Deluxe Auto Market níbi tí gbogbo ẹni fẹ́ ta mọ́tò gbé mọ́tò wọn lọ kíákíá ni mọ́tò rí ò lọ́nlẹ̀ tí ó dòwó kódà bá a bá rẹ̀ ní gbé mọ́tò wọlé látòkè òkun fún títà ọ̀dọ̀ Deluxe ni ẹ gbé lọ ọ̀sẹ̀ kan sí kejì owó ti wọlé pérépéré lówó òun ó sì pé níbẹ̀ ló ti ráwọn jẹ ní Nigerian used car tó jiná dénú tó o bá fẹ́ ra mọ́tò lọ bá wọn ní Deluxe wọ́n bọ̀ ara mọ́tò tó wù ọ́ láwọn mọ́tò tí ò lẹ́jọ́ nú tó kúnbọ̀ àti tuntun náà sì wà pẹ̀lú fún títà àmọ́ pàtàkì jùlọ ọbẹ̀ ní fún gbogbo ẹni fẹ́ ta mọ́tò ní kíá wọ́n wà ní Donjie Plaza beside Brook Park opposite Friendly Top Filling Station Olúyọ̀lé Extension Estate Ìbàdàn ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ wọn ní 0806 140 8526 lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí 0806 140 8526.
torí pé ilé onílé kò máa yẹ ọ́.
ẹ kú dédé àsìkò yìí o ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa nílé lóko lẹ́yìn òdì orúkọ tèmi ni ẹnjìnìà Tósìn Ṣítù aláṣẹ àti olùdarí iléeṣẹ́ Design Bricks Homes and Property. mo fẹ́ fi àsìkò yìí dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin oníbàárà wa nílé lóko tẹ̀ ń bá wa ralẹ̀ èèwọ̀ ọmọlúwàbí wa tí a fi ń ta ilẹ̀ fún kò yẹ̀ síbẹ̀ o Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kí a máa gbèrú sí àdẹ́pẹ́ fúnra wa.
àmín ilẹ̀ rírà ti dìrọ̀rùn Design Bricks Homes and Property ló ní kó wá ṣàlùbáríkà ilé kíkọ́ kí ìwọ náà kúrò lẹ́gbẹ́ mìrẹ́ǹtì kó di láńlọ́ọ̀dù ara rẹ.
ní Design Bricks Homes and Property wọ́n gbà kéèyàn máa sanwó lẹ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ látòrí 5,000 sókè wọ́n fún yàn ní blọ́ọ̀kù àti sámẹ́ǹtì téèyàn fi kọ́kọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ foundation náà kódà tó fi mọ́ red copy sọ́fìn lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ àti pabambari ti free roofing ìyẹn bíbánikanlé ẹni lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ ìgbà ọ̀tun lóde yìí o ìwọ náà tètè kàn sí wọn láti ra lẹ̀ tiẹ̀ láwọn estate wọn tó wà ń Bàdàn Abẹ́òkúta Ṣàgámù Mòwe àti Níjẹ̀bú ìwọ sá ti pè wọ́n sórí aago wọn 090-393-75110.
àjọsọ àtàdéhùn bẹ́ẹ̀ o.
àsìkò kọ̀ọ̀rọ̀ kù sọ́jí ṣùgbọ́n.
ẹ̀yin èèyàn mi ìròyìn ayọ̀ ni mo tún mú tọ̀ yín wá o láti ilé ìtajà Living Proof Supermarket ẹ̀ ń bi mí pé kí ni bẹ́ẹ̀ là á bi ni o ilé ìtajà Living Proof Supermarket tún ti ní ẹ̀ka tuntun mìíràn nínú ọgbà ilé ẹ̀kọ́ Lead City University Old Mart and Pharmacy nílùú Ìbàdàn ní báyìí ẹ lè wọlé ra èyíkéyìí nínú àwọn ọjà wa bí oúnjẹ aṣaralóore beverages toiletries beauty products àti àwọn nǹkan èlò mìíràn pẹ̀lú ìrọ̀rùn lówó tí ò ga jara lọ lẹ́ka tuntun ilé ìtajà Living Proof Supermarket tó wà ní Lead City University Old Mart and Pharmacy. bákan náà lẹ tún lè ra àwọn ọjà wa lónìrànràn láwọn ẹ̀ka ilé ìtajà wa tí ń bẹ ládojúkọ Maniac Fueling Station Ológun Ẹ̀rú Ẹlẹ́yẹlé Ìbàdàn tàbí LP Plaza Ayégún Ọ̀lẹ́yọ̀ Road Ìbàdàn. bẹ́ẹ̀ la sì wà ní former Pinnacle Building Challenge Road Ìdíodò bus stop Fẹ́lẹ́lẹ̀ Ìbàdàn. ẹ lè pè wá sórí 0803-545-7120 tàbí 0815-466-4418 nílé ìtajà Living Proof Supermarket ra ohun púpọ̀ lówó tí ò ga jara lọ.
àwọn èèyàn mi ṣègbé nítorí àìmọ̀kan Reuben George Theological Seminary Ìbàdàn ẹ̀ka ilé ẹ̀kọ́ fásitì Àjàyí Crowther tí ń bẹ lọ́yọ̀ọ́ àti Christ for the Nations Institute Dallas ní USA ń ṣètò ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó kún fọ́fọ́ nípa ìmọ̀ ẹ̀kọ́ Ọlọ́run pẹ̀lú ìwé ẹ̀rí tó yọrantí nípa ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ìmọ̀ Ọlọ́run Diploma in Theology and Religious Studies Bachelor of Arts in Theology and Religious Studies Executive Postgraduate Diploma in Pastoral Studies Masters of Arts in Christian Leadership and Pastoral Studies Master of Divinity. ǹjẹ́ àlùfáà ìjọ nìwọ ni díákónì lọ́kùnrin lóbìnrin alàgbà ìjọ ajínrere olùkọ́ tàbí ẹni tó tún fẹ́ nímọ̀ lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ nípa Ọlọ́run Reuben George Theological Seminary gangan ló dáńtọ́ fún ọ láti wá ẹ kàn sí alákòóso Reuben George Theological Seminary ní Gospel Town Arúlógún Road Ọ̀jọ́ Ìbàdàn tàbí ojú òpó ayélujára www.riget.com.ng. ètò ìgbaniwọlé ń lọ lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀lú wa ní 0805-304-0344 0805-304-0344 Reuben George Theological Seminary ilé ẹ̀kọ́ fún ẹ̀kọ́ nípa ìmọ̀ Ọlọ́run tó yanrantí.
Ire wọlé dé ìròyìn ayọ̀ láti iléeṣẹ́ Royal Links International Services iléeṣẹ́ tó gbòǹtẹ̀ ìjọba iléeṣẹ́ tí ń bá ní ṣètò gbogbo ìwé ìrìnnà tí o nílò lọ sí èyí ó wù ọ́ ní òkè òkun àjọ abániṣètò ìrìnnà fi ọwọ́ wọn sọ̀yà bóyá o tilẹ̀ ń gbèrò láti lọ ṣiṣẹ́ tí ó túbọ̀ mú ìrọ̀rùn bá ìgbé ayé rẹ tàbí ó wù ọ́ láti lọ gbafẹ́ pẹ̀lú fojú lóúnjẹ ohun mèremère ní òkè òkun bàbá màmá àǹtí bọ̀dá ẹ má làágùn jìnnà tẹnukọ́ tètè bọ̀ lè kọ́ wẹ́rẹ́ ni Royal Links International Services yóò bá ọ ṣètò gba visa rẹ tí o nílò láti lọ sí orílẹ̀-èdè tí ó wù ọ́ bíi USA, Canada, United Kingdom, Turkey, Dubai, Shanghai countries àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. ṣèbí ọjọ́ abáfojú kan rẹ̀ là ń fare mọ́ra. ó yá ẹ dìde fúyà. ẹ kàn sí iléeṣẹ́ wọn ní 3rd floor Car Care Building Asunlẹ̀ bus stop Mọ́kọ́lá Ìbàdàn. ẹ sì lè pè wọ́n sórí 07087410310 tàbí 08061174041. Royal Links International Services iléeṣẹ́ sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ bá bẹ́ẹ̀.
When the people became silent,
the government became oppressive. It's time to lend your voice to politics.
On 32 FM 94.9.
Safa sapheli sizwe simnyama Safa isizwe saba Kavula mo Aliteleni kokheli selala Wemanye wemodo Safa sapheli sizwe simnyama.
And that was Professor Lumumba speaking on Africa. In Africa, we elect village fools. Professor Lumumba is a scholar and sometimes a very controversial commentator on African affairs. He loves Africa, and deep inside him, Professor Lumumba believes that Africa can be delivered by ideas and not money. The program did not start late, in case you think we started late. It was designed to set you on a note of introspection, on a note of you asking questions about what you think you knew about Africa and her politics. Professor Lumumba was speaking to the Ugandan press, and of course, there was a sprinkling of Ugandan intellectuals. Politicians don't like Lumumba. In Africa, they don't like him. During the first coming of Major General Buhari as a democratically elected president, the National Assembly, under the leadership of former Governor Bukola Saraki, invited him for a kind of lecture at the National Assembly conference. And Lumumba was to speak to the subject of corruption as the bane of Nigeria's progress. The legislators did not like Lumumba that day. They didn't smile as they were leaving the venue of the conference. I believe they vowed never to bring Lumumba back under whatever condition. You don't invite Lumumba and you are happy to bring him back again. Lumumba throws stones. I don't know if he lives in a glass house or not, because they say if you live in a glass house, you don't throw stones. I suspect Lumumba lives in a mud house. So he's very confident when he throws stones. He throws stones into the market and he doesn't care if the stone hits his own family member or strange people. Lumumba said there is a commercialization of democracy in Africa. He said when you go to the electorate and you promise them that you would open up the country to innovation and you would reward invention, when you tell them you can bring people out of poverty by running business the way it should run, by running the nation how it should run, he said the people would celebrate you. They will say, oh, we've heard you. We know you will do these things. But then I need to eat before that time. Or God, wait till you get for back. Is it not the reality here? Have we not commercialized democracy? If the salary of a legislator in 4 years, the standard salary should be less than 20 million naira, and he has spent over 200 million naira to win election, would he not be a foolish investor if he spends that much and he would not get at least the investment he has put in back? Does the Nigerian electorate not understand the concept of return on investment? Politicians don't spend money for the fun of spending money. When they give you a Congo of rice, when they give you 1 liter of groundnut oil, when they spend money running campaigns, very aggressive and sustained campaigns, you think they get there and it will be Nitori Olorun? Lumumba is calling Africa to wake up and saying that corruption is a cancer in our body politic that must be expelled very quickly. Lumumba also speaks to how we rate politicians as wise people, even within the religious houses, when in actual fact, they are no better than village fools. I didn't call politicians village fools. Professor Lumumba did. I have been lucky to interview some of the intellectuals I respect whose commentaries on politics are very solid. Last year, you'd recall that I interviewed the highly revered Bishop of the Sokoto Diocese of the Catholic Church, Bishop Matthew Kuka. I hope someday I will be able to interview Professor Lumumba. Someday I hope I'll be able to interview Professor Ni Oshundare. Oshundare is a poet. He writes poetically about the pains and the dilemma of Nigeria, and by extension Africa. I hope to interview Professor Wole Soyinka one day. And then we will interrogate ideas. It has been said that idealists do not rule. Idealists do not win elections. But do we continue to watch while charlatans and societal renegades continue to run our affairs? The program is The Podium on 32 FM 94.9. And my name is HEZEKIAH AKINRINDE. I am your regular host, and I feel great to be back on the microphone. You can watch me live on Facebook and YouTube. Just type 32 FM 949 Ibadan. 32 FM 949 Ibadan. Those are the two platforms where you can watch me live, Facebook and YouTube. And if you want to send this to your friend who is not in Nigeria, they can listen via our website, www.32fm.com.ng, www.32fm.com.ng. On the program this morning, we'll be having the first part of a discussion that would be long. The discussion will be long because this topic will not go away until 2023 comes. I have told you that on the podium, we will not just celebrate the issues. Much more than that, we will celebrate the solutions. We're going to hold very high the banner of solutions to inherent problems in our political space. So I will start off the discussion today with the national youth leader of the Socialist Party of Nigeria, and we'll be discussing 2023, the dilemma of alternative choices for Nigerians and the struggles of smaller political parties. This discussion is not a one-time discussion. This is season 1, and the discussion will be with Comrade Hassan Taiwo Soweto, the National Youth Leader, Socialist Party of Nigeria. Comrade Soweto, good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir, and thanks for having me today on the podium.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you here. We will go on a short commercial break, and then when we come back, we will start the conversation off. 2023, the dilemma of alternative choices for Nigerians and the struggles of smaller political parties. Soweto will be hanging in there. You also should hang in there, because the podium returns right after this commercial break.
32 FM
94.9.
This ad will not focus on telling you why you need to migrate or study in Canada. Rather, we'll focus on getting you there. We are A3 Immigration Incorporation, authorized by Citizenship and Immigration Canada to give advice and represent foreign nationals who are looking to obtain a Canada visa and enter Canada on a permanent or temporary basis.
And to clear your doubts, you can check with our ICCRC number R707544. We are recognized by the Canadian government. It's not so hard to get into Canada. You've just been talking to the wrong people.
You should call 0913-660-1125 or +1 587 43 444 23
or 0817 600 1000.
0913-660-1125 or +1 587 43 444 23
or 0817 600 1000
or visit a3immigration.com.
It's time to activate your mind with creativity. Switch Creative Hub is a school of digital arts, design, and animation. Come and learn from experts in graphics and web designs, digital drawing and painting with character modeling, cartoon, and animation. Visit our site at switchcreativehub.com or any of our centers at 1 Are Avenue, opposite Food Co. near Bodija, Ibadan, or 1 Abayomi Street on Joyce B Road before Kakanfo Inn off Mobile Ring Road, Ibadan. You can call us on 081-8333-9007 or 081-4480-7810. Switch Academy on Instagram and Facebook. Ibadan. Get ready to switch and upgrade your world.
Egbògi kan ti délẹ̀ yìí, egbògi àtẹ̀jẹ̀ ṣe ni, ó dára fẹ̀jẹ̀ gidi gan. Veneto cleanser ló ń jẹ́ o. Veneto cleanser ló ń jẹ́ o.
Ojú rẹ̀ ṣàǹjọ̀lọ̀ lójoojúmọ́ kí làṣírí ẹ wà rí.
Veneto cleanser ni.
Já mi sí ọ̀rẹ́.
Veneto cleanser egbògi àtẹ̀jẹ̀ṣe tí bàdọ̀tí ara wọ̀ yá ìjà rẹ̀ wọ́n mọ́lẹ̀ ṣe wọ́n yẹbẹyẹbẹ. Inú tó ń kú tó ń dàrú gbòdògbòdò kò bára rẹ̀ èrí inú ẹ̀jẹ̀. Amọ̀nà ti dé o. Veneto cleanser egbògi àtẹ̀jẹ̀ṣe tí a fi ewé àti egbò ṣe ní ọ̀nà tìgbàlódé. NAFDAC fòǹtẹ̀lù MA1 Nigeria Limited ni wọ́n gbé Veneto cleanser jáde. A wà ní nọ́mbà 17 Ọba Akínyẹlé off Adeokun Street, Aláàfin Avenue, Olúyọ̀lé Estate, Ring Road, Ìbàdàn. Telephone 08034051533 fún títà àti rírà. Ìwọ náà darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Veneton cleanser àmọ̀tẹ́kùn egbòogi tí ń ya gbogbo kòkòrò inú ẹ̀jẹ̀ wẹ́lẹ́wẹ́lẹ́.
bí a bá ń polówó iléeṣẹ́ Yemson Enterprises nígbàgbà ó tó bẹ́ẹ̀ ó jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ nítorí ibẹ̀ nìkan lẹ ti lè rí ojúlówó ọ̀kadà alùpùpù alálòpẹ́ bíi Bajaj, TVS, Honda, Hero, Adway, Suzuki tó fi mọ́ àwọn ẹ̀rọ amúnáwá jẹnẹrétọ̀ eléyìí tó kojú owó bíi Elipa, Fireman, ṣe mátàn yín iléeṣẹ́ Yemson Enterprises kì í bá wọn yọ ìrà tí ò lọ́mọ nù. ìdí ẹ̀ rèé tó fi jẹ́ pé ojúlówó nìkan ní gbogbo nǹkan tí wọ́n ń tà níléeṣẹ́ wọn lówó tí ò gani lára. ṣé wọ́n ní gan ni àfijì ìròyìn ò támójúbà ìwọ náà lè kàn sí wọn níléeṣẹ́ wọn tó wà ní nọ́mbà 4 olówó tí fowó ṣàánú shopping complex Ìwó Road Ìbàdàn. ẹ̀ka iléeṣẹ́ wọn tún wà ní Àkànfẹ́ Amúlòkó nílùú Ìbàdàn. bó bá wá jẹ́ pé Àpáta àti àwọn àgbègbè tó yíká nìwọ wà ó lè kàn sí wọn níléeṣẹ́ Yemson tó wà ní àdójúkọ ilé epo NIPCO Àpáta Ìbàdàn. ó sì lè pè wọ́n sórí nọ́mbà yìí 0803-878-9238 0803-878-9238 Yemson Enterprises iléeṣẹ́ tí ò lẹ́bọ̀dì mọ́lẹ̀ nígbà kọ̀ọ̀kan.
ọ̀gá aláṣọ wọ̀nyí kò lẹ́jọ́ nínú tòde ní ṣẹ́gun tòde ní ṣe aláṣọ tuntun iléeṣẹ́ rédíò 32 FM túpẹ́ náà tún yọ. àfihàn ìdíje UEFA Champions League lẹ́rí tẹ̀ kọ́ sára ìjàgbùdú sáà tuntun ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ nílẹ̀ Gẹ̀ẹ́sì lóṣù yìí o. ọjọ́ 14 oṣù ní ìjàgbùdú ta ni yóò gbádẹ́ sáà tuntun ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ nínú ìdíje Premier League àmọ́ ọjọ́ 28 oṣù yìí 28 of August ní 32 FM ṣe lọ́jọ́ fáwọn ìdíje gbàǹkọ̀gbàǹkọ̀ méjì ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ìfagagbága láàrin Arsenal àti Man City láàkọ́ fi ṣíde lọ́jọ́ náà kó tó di pé àtúnṣe lójú ìjà kókó bí ó ṣe ṣàngó láàrin Liverpool àti Chelsea gbogbo ètò ló ti tò fún ìdẹ̀kùn àwọn èèyàn tí ìgbẹ́yẹ́ gbádùn eré bọ́ọ̀lù jẹ́ lógún lọ́jọ́ tá à ń wí yìí ikọ̀ ìgé ti ṣetán láti máa ti ṣẹ́bọ̀ yìí lára lédè Yorùbá pọ́nbélé commentary ìrìn àjò ta ló ládé sáà tuntun nínú líìgì ilẹ̀ Gẹ̀ẹ́sì nígbàgán Race Course Amphitheatre lẹ́kẹ̀ẹ́ Sàlámì Adamasigba nìbàdàn àwọn aláṣẹ ẹ̀rọ̀gbọ̀jì ṣe ń ṣagbátẹrù ti sẹ́yìn ní Naija Cafe Rum àti Danabid Homes and Properties onírúurú ẹ̀bùn ló ti wà nílẹ̀ tẹ́tù máa fi ṣèfàjẹ́ bíi tẹlifíṣàn fridge jerseys àtẹ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan míì tá a lè kà tán aago 12 ṣáná ilé tó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ tí gbogbo àdàgbà ó ṣèrò láago 8 àṣálẹ́ tí kálukú dojú fàájì kọra wọn. síyá
bọ́nà kan ò ṣe wọjà nígbà aṣẹ́ kan ò ṣe tó jẹ mọ́ lásìkò tá a wà yìí láti wá tètè gúnlẹ̀ sí o fún àlàyé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ ẹ kàn sí multilevel marketing cooperative investment credit society limited lónìí ní health concern building lẹ́bàá MRS filling station nítòsí Bishop Phillips Academy Ìwó Road Ìbàdàn tàbí lọ́fíìsì wa tó wà ní Stanbic Bank building Niger West area Challenge Ìbàdàn ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ 090-5000-4816 090-5000-4816 pẹ̀lú multilevel marketing cooperative investment credit society limited wàá roko délé ajé.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
Safa sapeli sizo simnyama Iwa safa Isizo saba Kavula mo
As I told you earlier before we went on that commercial break, we'll be discussing 2023, the dilemma of alternative choices for Nigerians and the struggles of smaller political parties. If you saw the flyer I shared, I put the word smaller in inverted commas so that you understand that it is not my word. It is the expression of both the electorate and those who belong to the big two in Nigeria's political arena. Hassan Soweto is the national youth leader of the Socialist Party of Nigeria. Soweto.
Yes.
Now let's get to the discussion this morning.
Okay.
Your party is the Socialist Party of Nigeria.
Yes.
It is one of the smallest parties in the country.
Yes.
And the journey has been on for a while now. You participated in the 2019 elections.
Yes.
What was the experience of your party in that election?
Well, thank you very much. To start with, I think that there's no dilemma of alternatives, actually. And our experience in the 2019 general elections in many ways confirmed that. Because when you say dilemma, the first interpretation is that perhaps, the electorate are in doubt as to what alternatives they require, to be able to get Nigeria out of the woods that is currently in. Meanwhile, our experience in the 2019 general election shows that the electorate in Nigeria, especially that layer of the electorate that is poor, that is struggling to keep its head above waters, the workers, the unemployed, the youth, that layer of the electorate is prepared, to throw out of power parties and individuals that they have identified to be responsible for the crisis and lack of development that bedevils Nigeria. That was very clear because if I recall our campaign, for instance, we contested in about 5 states across the country. I was also a candidate of the party. I contested in Ogun State, for constituency 2 for House of Assembly. And everywhere we went to, with our slogans and our manifesto, which was anchored on using the collective resources of the state, to ensure provision of basic amenities and other needs of the people. That message everywhere we took it to was enthusiastically received by the mass of the people, especially when we also introduce ourselves not as the usual politicians, but socialists, activists, and revolutionaries who have been part and parcel of the struggles of workers, of students, of the youth, from time before now. And when we also clearly told them that we are not also going to political office to continue the game as usual, but that we are going with a view to introduce working class political representation and to change the character of politics. For instance, I pledged to receive the average wage of a worker if I was elected as a member of the House of Assembly, and that the excess of the salary that will be due to me, from the coffers of the state, will be donated to my party, as well as, to support the struggles of all categories of the oppressed people in different parts of the state. This kind of message, for instance, was enthusiastically received by people. Many felt that it was something that could be done, and that it is this kind of conduct, policy and program that can actually begin to resolve the crisis that bedevils the country. the older generation, for instance, that we met during the campaign, recalled the past, situation in the country whereby, you had politicians like Jakonde, or, the former governor of Ondo State, I'm trying to recall his name.
Adekunle Ajasin.
Adekunle Ajasin. These are people who serve in political offices as average people. And despite spending 4 years or so, they did not accumulate wealth like latter-day politicians are doing today. And for Ajasin, for instance, he left government house and returned back to the same old building that was his accommodation. Meanwhile, these two individuals that I mentioned are not even socialists. They are what we call bourgeois, radical bourgeois politicians, so that they are also equally capitalist. But to show that, there's a major difference, fundamental difference between their own conduct in the First and Second Republic and the current set of capitalist politicians, is the unrestrained corruption that exists at different levels of political governance today, even up to the local government level. Councillors, before 3 months in power, begin to build houses, begin to buy cars, and live in opulence. That was something that we said we were going to change by showing our own force of example, by collecting the average wage of the worker if we were elected to the political office. I also pledged that, for instance, that the rented apartment where I was staying in the community, I was not going to leave it for the duration of my stay in political office, in order to ensure that I, as a member, honorable member of the House, that I will be part and parcel of the people, feel their pain, and also be able to regularly get feedback from them. Because, it is also necessary, we thought in our party that it was also necessary to ensure that political office holders live among the people, so that they can be able to feel the pulse of the people. And these messages were well received. Only for the election day to come, of course, for the ruling party, and other bourgeois political parties to deploy their rigging machineries and all of that. So that what you had in the 2019 general elections was a decapitation of people's aspiration to support and vote for some of the small organized political parties like the SPN that contested. So our experience was solid. It solidly showed that the people are prepared, the people are angry, and that the current political parties that are in power today are only in power because of the ability to use money as well as talks and others to divert the elections to their.
So, Weto, you believe that a party like yours was rigged out in 2019?
Oh, yes.
Now, did you listen to... I'm not sure you were live when I played that clip of the speech by Professor Lumumba titled...
I know, I heard it.
Excellent.
And now, it's a popular speech anyway.
Great. Did you hear the part of that speech where he said there's a commercialization of democracy in Africa?
Yes.
He talked about you going to the people with ideas. The people will hail your ideas, but they are waiting for the man that will bring money. So, now, don't you think that played a role in your party's loss in 2019? Instead of just blaming it on rigging, there were those who spent money. You spent just a tiny fraction, definitely, of what the big boys would have spent. You don't think money played a role? And it was just not about rigging. It was that you couldn't play the game as it was required of you on the field.
When I use the word rigging, what I meant was all of the infractions and manipulations that the pro-rich political parties implemented during that election, which also includes vote buying, and the inducement of electoral officials and the electorate. Because there's no difference between, in terms of, what I want me to say is that inducement and buying of votes, even overspending beyond the limits set for by the electoral acts for electoral expenditures for local offices. These are infractions of the electoral law, so that they also connote rigging. So when I use the word rigging, I meant all of this, and you are very right. We could not, but it was not that we could not play the game. We were equally not interested to play such a game. That's because we think that it's this kind of game which has continued to make Nigeria to be what it is today, whereby those who do not represent the people and their aspirations are those who find themselves in power. But you could also say that if the people actually were ready to liberate themselves, that money ought not to have changed their minds or thereabouts. That is true. But what also happens is that the bourgeois capitalist politicians do not only depend on spending money and inducement alone. What they also do is to also carry out intimidation and deploy thoughts on election day in order to even ensure that those who might even want to come and vote for those they feel they want to vote for, regardless of the money that is being spent by others, that those people will not even be able to come to the voting areas. And even if they come, they are going to feel so intimidated and not to expose themselves to harm. And I'm saying this because look at the pattern of elections, especially the last two general elections in Nigeria, both the 2015 general elections and the 2019 general elections. What you are going to notice is a situation of voters' apathy and very few number of registered voters actually coming out on election day to come and vote. In the 2019 general elections, for instance, only between 30 to 37% of the electorate actually participated in the presidential elections. I mean, that is a telling indicator of the mood of people. One, it shows that many people do not even believe in the electoral system anymore. Then secondly, that even those who are likely going to vote for parties like the SPN, because they believe in our programs, they are so intimidated and fearful, given the role of thugs in elections and what would have been happening before the election day, gunshot and all of that. Many of them will be afraid to come to election. So these are some of the things that happens which affect the chances of local parties like the SPN and others. But then things will not also continue to go on like this forever. Because what is also happening is that people are also getting frustrated. We are likely going to get to a stage, for instance, where regardless of what intimidating factors and inducement that exist, people are going to come out in a revolutionary way to take a stand and say this is where they are going. We are not yet there today, but I think that if we look at the pulse of the country today, we will not be so far from this possible developments in the Nigerian politics.
Okay, now, Soweto, your party is largely idealistic, right? Now, you're selling ideas. Am I correct?
Yes.
Your party is selling ideas, revolutionary ideas, ideas that you think could change the course of things. Now, when you're playing in a space on a turf where ideas do not win, do you not think it is important to also modify your strategies, your approach to winning in that kind of space?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we have to constantly improve, how we campaign, how we do our messaging and all of that. We also have to raise more resources and all of that. There's always room for improvement. But what I'm trying to argue against is the suggestion which are often made by political watchers that the only way to political power is for people who want to make revolutionary changes to apply the despicable, undemocratic conduct and approaches that the parties of the elite have been using over time. I think that is what I'm trying to argue against. And I think that those who want to change a society, the method with which you equally want to change it are also very important. Then the other point is that I think that Professor Lumumba, whose speeches I've always listened to, sometimes might over-exaggerate the problems. And I also think that in many ways also, he also expresses a frustration, which I think is misdirected. It is not true, for instance, that ideas does not rule us in Africa. Because if we continue to say this kind of thing, it might also mean that we are ignorant of our own history as Africans. This is the same continent, for instance, where ideas propelled the struggle for decolonization. It is the same country where you have had the lives of Kwame Nkrumah, the lives of Awolowo and co, Zik of Africa. Not just propounding theories as to how Africa and the individual countries can progress, but also building political parties and participating in elections and winning elections. So that if we look at that issue of Africa and now, we can then realize that the point being made that ideas do not rule Africans might be over-exaggerated. It might be an over-exaggeration of the problem. The other point is that if today we are now seeing a situation whereby it appears that, people without ideas are those who are winning elections. I think what we also need to investigate is what are the factors that have necessitated this. And I have tried to point out to some of the difficulties that exist, both for the electorate, and also parties like us. These difficulties are created by the system that we are trying, to change. And what that means to me, really, is not to me is that, and what that means to me is that it means that if we are talking about how to improve our strategy, one of the things we have to be looking at is the question of how to ensure that even prior to elections, political parties that stand for ideas, that stand for alternative political programs, deepen their presence in local communities and among the people. And that is what the SPN has been doing since the 2019 general elections. Because we also, one of the points that we have always made is that elections for us are, means to sell our ideas and to sell our programs of alternative to the current status quo. So that even where we do not win elections, we must remain with the working and toiling people and participate and join their struggles. For instance, in 2019, the SPN has been part and parcel of all of the major struggles that the working people and young people have had to prosecute in order to fight against anti-poor policies. We were part of the NSAS protests. We were part of some of the strikes that labor, and other categories of the oppressed people have had to wage. For instance, we are equally solidarity with striking doctors at the moment. And anytime ASU fights against other forms of education, the SPN always comes out in solidarity. So we do all of this, and in the local communities, we also participate in campaigns against electricity commercialization, against exploitation of communities by discos and things like that. We think that these are the kind of activities with which we can use to demonstrate that we are different. We can use to show to the electorate that we are a party that if we are put in power, we can make a difference. And we think that by the next general election, some of these activities are likely to count in the areas where we put up candidates. But the last point I will make on this, which I think is very vital, is that election is not the only route to political power. This also must be understood.
Okay, excellent. So I want to hold your thoughts there. I will go on a commercial break. When we come back, we will interrogate that thought that you just expressed. Election is not the only route to political power. I'm very interested in that discussion. Okay. All right, a commercial break now. When I come back, we will continue. There are comments There are comments on Facebook. Remember, you can watch me live on Facebook and YouTube. 32FM 949 Ibadan. 32FM 949 Ibadan. You can watch me live on Facebook and on YouTube. I'll be back, and you can drop your comments there. I've seen some comments I will read in the course of the program. Right after this commercial break, the discussion with Comrade Soweto, National Youth Leader of the Socialist Party of Nigeria, continues. Don't go anywhere.
32 FM
94.9.
Sakpa na batino. He hold me so tey and no fit comot for house to add on top am. Na so my mama send me message talk say,
Ojuko, where the credit where you promise me now?
Sure, that one no be another sakpa on top sakpa. But thank you to Globe Borrow for others. So I just borrow credit for her from my network. Enter her own number sharp. Later when I recharge, they collect the money from my own phone.
With Globe Borrow for Others, you can now borrow data and airtime for your family and friends, then pay back their credit on your next recharge. Dial *777# to get started.
Glow Unlimited.
Are you a business owner interested in an alternate stream of income? Then you are qualified to sign up and become a Stanbic IBTC at Ease agent in your area.
Stanbic IBTC Bank is taking banking right next to the people. Credible bank agents are needed to sign up.
To confirm your eligibility and also sign up, please visit www.stanbicibtcbank.com now.
It pays to be a Stanbic IBTC at Ease agent. It pays to have an alternate stream of income.
Stanbic IBTC. It can be.
Ó tún ti ṣí ilẹ̀kùn àti gbéṣiṣẹ́ ní Eastern Europe láwọn orílẹ̀-èdè bíi Ukraine, Poland, Lithuania, Czech Republic, Hungary àti Slovakia. Gbogbo akọ́ṣẹ́mọṣẹ́ àtúnṣe ọwọ́ ṣẹ́ni tó mọ̀nà látẹ̀lé Online Dynamics. Ilé-iṣẹ́ tó mójúlẹ́jà àti bá ní ṣètò ìrìn àjò sórílẹ̀-èdè Canada ló tún gbé àǹfààní ńlá aláìlẹ́gbẹ́ yìí wá fún gbogbo ẹni tó fẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́ nílùú èbó. You can take advantage of these to live and work in Europe, as some local employers in Eastern Europe are ready to hire skilled workers and artisans from all around the world while you get your employment offer, accommodation and work permit right here in Nigeria. Remember, you can study, work and live in Canada. Commence the process now through Online Dynamics Limited. Gbogbo akọ́ṣẹ́mọṣẹ́ àtúnṣe ọwọ́ tó fẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́ láwọn orílẹ̀-èdè ní Europe. Ẹ má fọ̀rọ̀ já tá a mọ́. Ẹ kàn sí Online Dynamics lónìí lájà kẹrin Cocoa House Dùgbẹ̀ Ìbàdàn tàbí lọ́fíìsì ọ̀rọ̀ lọ́mọ nọ́mbà 25 Oyedoku Street Àgọ́ Wande off Ìgbọ̀nùkẹ́ Unity Road nílùú Òṣogbo. Telephone 0810-2738-145. With Online Dynamics, your overseas dream is a goal.
Safasa pelisizo simnyama Iwasafa.
All right, the program is The Podium. In case you're just tuning in, and I'm with Comrade Hassan Taiwo Soweto, the National Youth Leader of the Socialist Party of Nigeria. I almost said of the APC there. I know Soweto would have hanged me. And we're discussing the dilemma of alternative choices of Nigeria as we approach 2023 and the struggles of smaller political parties. Soweto disagrees with me that there is a dilemma. He says Nigerians know what they want. In 2019, they made an attempt to kick out the parties that have not favored them in the years past. But then things went the way they usually go in Nigeria. Soweto insists that parties like his were rigged out because the playing field was not level. Some people had financial weight that they threw around in violation of the law. Soweto, did I capture your thoughts correctly?
Yes.
Excellent. So before the break, you started a thought. You said elections are not the only way, or elections is not the only route to power.
Yes.
Do you want to build on that?
Yes, what I mean by that is that if the electoral system, remains rigged against the popular will of the people, inevitably the people will use other means outside of the electoral system to try and change the society. And
what means are those?
That route to be a revolutionary uprising, so that the role of the SPF is not simply to prepare itself for elections, the role and aim of the SPN is also to prepare itself to be able to play a leading role in such a situation where such an unpricing occurs, in order to ensure that uppricing leads to a genuine transformation of society.
When you're talking about uprising Soweto, are you not courting anarchy?
No, I am not, because we the people have been trying to utilize the electoral system for the past 20 years or so to make the kind of changes that will lead to solutions to the problems that bedevils them, that bedevils the country. And a tiny capitalist elite, because of his own interest and agenda, continues to make that difficult by rigging the process, using the court, using INEC. I mean, if you remember, for instance, immediately after the 2019 general election, despite how we were rigged out of the elections, the ruling elites went ahead to use the INEC, to deregister the SPN. And what was the reason for deregistering us? They said because the SPN did not win any office or any position in the previous elections. Meanwhile, this was an election which was heavily rigged. All the major political parties violated the electoral laws. The INEC did not at any time do its job of applying the electoral law against those parties and those candidates. Yet, that same INEC decided to go after smaller political parties which were victims of the rigging and other infractions committed by the major political parties. I mean, that will tell you the bias. So that now, even preparing for 2023 elections, we, the SPN, are still struggling to get ourselves registered. We have won the INEC at the appeal court. INEC is still insisting that we will not be accepted back on the electoral roll, so that all of the by-elections that have taken place this year, the SPN has not been allowed to participate. Now, the case has been taken to the Supreme Court. We are hoping that by October this year, maybe judgment will be delivered, so that we can then know where we are going. But this alone itself tells you how much INEC, the ruling elite and co, are stacking up these obstacles against even the democratic, even the electoral, even the possibility of the masses using the electoral system to change this country. And if that remains the case, it will be inevitable that at some point the people would choose the route of revolution. And revolution is not anarchy. Revolution is a democratic process through which the masses come onto the stage of history to try to change their condition. And everywhere where we have had revolutionary uprising, if you look at what happened in the Arab Spring, we are going to realize that revolutions are popular. Revolutions are democratic.
But the revolutions brought nothing to the Arabs.
I said the other time about how in 2019 general elections, for instance, only 37% or thereabouts of the registered voters voted in the presidential election. Then it tells you that even the President Buhari cannot claim to be a product of a majority vote in this country.
What would you call majority vote, Soweto? Hold on. What would you call majority vote? Majority votes would be based on the number of people who voted. If people decided not to vote, there's nothing you could do about that.
Yes, there's nothing, but if people also decided not to vote, it's an indication of a problem. Because don't forget that we have had elections in this country which were popular. The June 12, 1993 elections was quite popular, and it had a record number of participation. And that was because people had a feeling that they were going to be able to make some fundamental changes through that election. If you also look at the 1999 general elections, there was some level of participation. But right from 2007 up to now, we have had an increasing sharp drop in participation. And that's a product of the fact that people are getting even much more frustrated because the electoral system continues to return the same outcome, despite their efforts to use the electoral system to change their condition. This is an argument against elections. But this is to say that if the INEC, the ruling elite, continues to stack up difficulties against the working people from using the electoral system to change their condition, then they themselves will be creating the basis for people to use other routes of revolution.
Okay, now let's ask this. The Socialist Party is a small party. Now, there are many smaller parties in Nigeria. Do you have any other party that has similar ideologies to yours?
The SPN is the only party that stands boldly and unapologetically for the ideas and programs of socialism. So there's no other party in the current political dispensation that is registered and that stands for those kind of ideas.
Even Showorez AAC?
The AAC is a radical political party which does not profess socialism, even though it professes radical policies and radical ideas.
Now, the reason I'm asking this is when you have behemoths that are the sizes of the APC and the PDP especially, do you not think that one of the ways to break their grip on the Nigerian political space is to coalesce with parties that may not have exactly the same ideology as yours, but similar in some ways?
Yes, it is possible to do that. I mean, and the discussions around this has been on since 2019. The possibility of building bigger political formations that professes radical and revolutionary ideas and programs. On the eve of the 2019 general elections, for instance, the Joint Action Front, initiated such a conversation when it organized a summit of left and radical working class organizations to discuss the 2019 general elections and the need to build a mass workers and youth political party. But unfortunately, that conversation, was not deepened. So we went into the 2019 general elections with the formations that already existed, which were quite small, as you have said. In the run-up to the 2020 elections now, these similar conversations rather have equally cropped up. For instance, at the moment, there's a new initiative called the People's Alternative Political Movement, which was launched in March of this year. And the aim of this coalition is to form and build a mass workers' political party for the social transformation of Nigeria.
Which parties are involved in this coalition?
What did you say?
Which political parties are involved in this coalition?
Well, the SPN is involved. But apart from the SPN, you have non-political parties, non-political organizations. Organizations that are not registered political parties.
So essentially, the SPN is the only political party in this coalition.
What did you say?
The SPN is essentially the only registered political party in this movement.
The only registered. Because there are other left political parties and formations that are within this new coalition, which may not be registered, but they are political organizations on their own.
Did you reach out to Showorez AAC?
There are also youth movements.
Okay.
And civil society. So, what is still being worked out now within that coalition is the details of what needs to be done to actually form a political alternative. So we have to see how that discussion unfolds. But even outside of that, even outside of that initiative. The Socialist Party of Nigeria, right from its formation, has never for one day abandoned its call on the trade union movement to form a political party that can stand for the interests of the working people. So, despite the fact that we are a registered political party, we are continuing to recognize the fact that we are small and that more powerful groups and organizations like the trade union movement are even at a better vantage point, to build something that is more solid and stronger. But unfortunately, what has been happening is that the leadership of the labor movement does not appear to believe in this kind of agenda like we do. So that's why, for instance, you have seen a situation whereby the Labour Party that was initially formed by the labor movement has been allowed to be hijacked by the capitalists, by the ruling elite, so that now the working people do not even seem to have any party of their own. But we have to see what happens. So what I've said is to show that we are aspiring towards the same direction that you have just said, but we have to see how all of these things unfolds before 2023.
Okay, so now what I'm picking from this is in this new alliance you formed in March, the Socialist Party is the only registered political party. The other bodies that are members they lean towards the left. Am I correct?
Yes. Now,
I didn't hear you say anything about an attempt to co-opt the AAC, at least Showere's faction. There are similarities in your agitations. The Showere faction into it. The Labour Party, has there been an attempt to engage them? At least maybe those you call the conscious ones among them. Has there been an attempt to reach out to the Youth Party, which is a relatively new party in Nigeria, if not relatively new, at least they share some of your ideals. Now, you're not saying anything around that. Are there political parties you reached out to? Was it that they were not willing to come in? Or is the Socialist Party just a purist party on its own? Like, you don't want a dilution. If you're not left, you're simply not with us and you cannot be with us. You want to speak to that?
Well, I think there are two parts to your question. With respect to the coalition that I mentioned, whether or not it has made effort to reach out to others beyond the SPN, I think and I know that the formation of that movement in March, an open call was made, to different organizations and political parties, to join that coalition. So the SPN responded.
Soweto, let me cut you, Soweto. Please allow me to interject here. An open call, or there was a direct reach out? An open call is different from you putting a call through, or writing a letter, or trying to have a meeting. You could borrow a leaf. You could borrow a leaf from what?
To finish my thought process there, you might actually get what I'm trying to say.
Okay, excellent. Go ahead now.
But if you remember, I said that there are two parts to your question. The point I'm trying to actually say is that the SPN is not in the leadership of the coalition.
Okay.
The SPN responded to a call by the initiators of that coalition. So we responded because we believe in the ideas that were expressed by the initiators. So upon getting there, of course, we found others, the other organizations and groups. So if there are other groups that ought to be there that are not there, I think it will be the initiators of the coalition who will be able to supply the reason why they are not there, whether they not reach out to them appropriately. The only other thing I would just add to that is that the coalition also is still in the process of development, so that which means that even beyond those that started with the coalition at its launch, there's always room for new formations and groups to join. As for the SPN itself, whether we are a tourist party and whether we We do not relate with anybody unless they are left or they are socialist. This is not accurate. We have within the SPN members of the SPN who do not even yet fully understand or agree with the ideas of socialism, but who joins the party for the point of view of the fact that the party is talking about how to transform Nigeria, how to make Nigeria to work for the ordinary people. So we do not reject people from joining us just because they are not socialists. Once you agree that the condition of things in Nigeria are not okay and you will need a change, you are welcome to join the SPN. And at the formation of the SPN in 2013, we equally made an open call and made reach out to many groups, to join up with us. So it was only those who responded that we had to work with. And even at that 2023 elections, in different areas, we had collaborations and discussions with other parties that were small like us, and that were saying things different things. I mean, that had alternative manifestos from that of the major political parties. What has not yet happened, which is why you are asking all of these questions, is that there has been no fusion, of the SPN with other formations or other formations with the SPN. And I don't think that that is impossible. So far, there is an agreement on areas where, we can work together. I mean, for instance, now, we work with the AAC, our members of the AAC, in different campaigns, and in different areas. So, from that point of view, I don't think that the SPN is policed in that manner. But the only thing that we can say is that the SPN holds very dear. It is economic and political program to transform Nigeria. And those programs, why we hold them dear is because we think that if you look at the history of Nigeria so far, over the past 60 or so years, many methods, many policies have been tried to resolve the problems bedeviling Nigeria. But all of these efforts have only led to the same outcome of mass poverty in the midst of others. So that is what gives us the confidence that it is the kind of socialist ideas and programs that the SPN stands for that can provide the key to unlocking, the problems that is in this country. So, in holding it there, we don't. That doesn't mean that we, in that sense, are purist about it. We are ready to engage in discussions with everyone who wishes for a new Nigeria, and we are also willing to learn from people who have their own ideas about how things can be done. So, if any formations today wants to join up with the SPA, they are going to be welcome. For instance, you have had a situation, for instance, where individuals have joined us, and in joining us, they told us that they are not socialists, but they think that, we represent something that, is similar to what they equally stand for. And once that is the case, it's fine. So that's just what I would say in response to that. So, but in terms of that coalition, like I said, the initiators will be in the best position to say how much reach out they did. But we in the SPN feels that, the objective of the coalition is quite, in sync with our own aspirations for a mass workers' political party. And that's why we're in solidarity with the coalition.
Okay, thank you, Soweto. Now, we'll go on a commercial break. When we come back, because okay. Soweto, can you hear me?
Hello.
Great. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, great. So we'll go on a commercial break now. When we come back from the break, I'm going to read some of the comments I have on Facebook so that you can respond to them. I have comments on our Facebook video, and there is a post I read from a friend. A post by a friend I read yesterday. I would love to read and get your reaction. Then we make out about 10 minutes thereabouts for calls. I'm sure people want to respond to some of the conversation we've had today. In case you want to call, please take down the phone numbers of the studios. You call when I tell you it is time. 070 55,949 and 080-97,949. I'll take that again. 070-55-000-949 and then 080-97-000-949. A commercial break and the conversation will continue.
32 FM
94.9.
Appreciation. Mo dúpẹ́.
Ẹ ṣé o, mo mọ̀ lóore. Ẹ̀yin èèyàn mi lẹ́kùn ìdìbò Ìbàdàn North West and South West Federal Constituency. Ẹ̀yin ti BBire People's Vision Association nílẹ̀ yìí àti lókè òkun. Ẹnjìnìà Ṣèyí Mákindé gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́. Gbogbo àwọn àgbààgbà ẹgbẹ́ àti gbogbo ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP. Ẹ kú ilé o. Èmi Àbáyọ̀mí Fágbénró BBire àtàwọn alátìlẹyìn mi ṣetán láti ṣàtìlẹyìn fún ìṣèjọba yìí àtẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú alábùradà PDP. Iṣẹ́ rere ò ní dúró. BBire kò ṣe é fowó rà. PDP power.
BBire o kò ṣe é fowó rà o. BBire tábà bímọ kọ́mọ tún rẹ̀ bí o. BBire kò ṣe é fowó rà o. BBire Àbáyọ̀mí ọmọ Fágbénró. BBire ó ní tábà bímọ ká kọ́ wọn lọ́nà òtítọ́ o.
Baálé mi, nọ́ọ̀sì sọ fún mi ní ilé ìwòsàn lónìí wípé ó ṣe pàtàkì fún mi láti sinmi díẹ̀ lẹ́yìn tí mo bá bí oyún inú mi yìí kí ara mi ba lè mókun dáadáa.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni o, bàbá Junior ọ̀rẹ́ mi náà sọ fún mi. Ó ní kò dáa kí obìnrin bímọ léraléra. Ó sọ wípé àwọn ń fi ètò sí ọmọ bíbí.
Fífi ètò sí ọmọ bíbí bí àǹtí nọ́ọ̀sì ṣe pé gan-an nìyẹn. Ó sọ wípé oríṣiríṣi ìlànà ìfètòsọ́mọ bíbí ló wà. Èyíkéyìí tí ó bá ti wù mí ni mo lè ṣe lẹ́yìn ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tí ó péye. Ní àfikún, a tún lè ní oyún nígbàkúgbà tí ó bá ti wù wá.
Ìfètòsọ́mọ bíbí jẹ́ ọ̀nà pàtàkì kan láti fi àyè sílẹ̀ láàrin ọmọ kan sí èkejì nípa dídẹ́kun oyún àìròtẹ́lẹ̀. Fún àlàyé àti ìtọ́sọ́nà tí ó péye, ẹ kàn sí wa lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ 080-000-22252 tàbí kí o lọ sí ilé ìwòsàn tí ó wà ní agbègbè tí ó ní àmì àwọ̀ olómi ewé láti yan ètò tí ó bá ọ lára mu. Àmú ìkéde yìí wá láti ọ̀dọ̀ àjọ tí ó ń ṣe àkóso ètò àlàáfíà pẹ̀lú ìbáṣepọ̀ Marie Stopes Nigeria àti ìrànlọ́wọ́ ìjọba Denmark.
Délé! Ìgbà wo ló ti ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ já ẹṣin ọkọ̀ tuntun eléyìí? Ọkọ̀ tuntun báwo? Ikọ́ ṣoṣo tó mọ̀ mímọ̀ náà ni. Irọ́ ni o, ní mọ́tò tó ń fojoojúmọ́ gbowó lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀. Báwo ló ṣe ṣe tó fọ́ dàbí tuntun báyìí? Iṣẹ́ ọwọ́ Service King lórí ẹ̀.
Tẹ bá fẹ́ tún mọ́tò ṣe, ó dàbí tuntun. Service King ní kẹgbẹ́ lọ.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, Service King aṣáájú nínú àwọn auto service companies tó ń sọ mọ́tò di tuntun bí ìyàwó àṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ gbé. Èyíkéyìí ìtọ́jú ara ọkọ̀ tẹ́ fẹ́ ṣe bó bá jẹ́ mechanical bó jẹ́ body work ẹ dá gbogbo ẹ̀dá Service King. Àwọn akọ́ṣẹ́mọṣẹ́ pẹ̀lú iṣẹ́ ìgbàlódé ni wọ́n fi ń sọ mọ́tò di tuntun lọ́dọ̀ wọn. Onírúurú páàtì ọkọ̀ tẹ́ bá sì ń fẹ́ direct ni wọ́n kó wọn wọlé látòkè òkun. American cars, Japanese cars tó fi dórí German cars. Diagnosis ìyẹn àyẹ̀wò ni wọ́n kọ́kọ́ ṣe kí wọ́n tó dáwọ́lé mọ́tò rẹ̀. Wọ́n mójúlẹ́jà ìgbàlódé spray painting tó fi mọ́ baking. Tinútẹ̀yìn ni wọ́n sì fọ mọ́tò fún gbogbo oníbàárà àwọn tí wọ́n bá parí iṣẹ́. Bí ọba ní Service King gúwà sí plot 36 College Crescent nítòsí Bevy High School Òkè Àdó Ìbàdàn. Ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ 09135380000. Service King ọba tó ba lórí gbogbo mọ́tò.
Safasa pelisizo simnyama Iwasafa Isizo saba
Oh, time scares me. I don't like time sometimes, especially when I'm having a mentally stimulating conversation like this. Hassan Taiwo Soweto is my guest. He is the National Youth Leader of the Socialist Party of Nigeria. We are discussing the dilemma of alternative choices for Nigerians in 2023 and the struggles of the smaller political parties. I do not know if you have enjoyed this conversation so far. We have touched different aspects of what plays out on the political scene, and we will touch more because Soweto and I will not conclude this discussion today. Soweto, you know we are going to have this conversation again. There's a lot more to talk about. You agree with me? And I know whenever I reach out to you, you're ready to speak.
Definitely.
So let's read some comments that we have here on Facebook. Jimo Sadiq Ainde says, good morning. Okay, good morning to you too. Fish Kikiowo Salako Unilewo. Now, let me remind you, Hassan, this guy here finished from IFE also. He graduated from OAU and he knows what activism is about. He knows Soweto. So I needed to give you that background so that you can contextualize the comment. So Fish says, activists must learn to migrate from activism to politics. Even parties that intend to rig elections still spend heavily on political campaigns. Spreading a political message costs money, and the people must be convinced that contestants not only have the ability to cause a change when elected, but that they actually have the ability to successfully prosecute campaigns and elections. Things have changed. You cannot build a party outside the moral sanctity of the people. Most people presently regard money as the ultimate material thing, and politicians always use this during election to tilt political direction. Fish says in conclusion, this is not the Nigeria of Awolowo. Can you respond to that in 2 minutes? Because I want to open the phone lines.
Well, I think I must first appreciate the comments, especially the proposals as to how to improve our campaign and all of that. And I think that I equally mentioned that we need to do more in terms of fundraising. But I will still not agree that we have to adopt a method that enslaves our people. We have to adopt that method in order to liberate them. Yes, if it is true that this is not no more the idea of Awolowo, but we also have to be clear. What do we want to do? Do we want to get to political power in order to continue business as usual? Or we want to transform the country for the present and the future generation? The SPM wants to transform this country. So that's why we do not think that we should adopt a method that enslaves the people and that turns them into slaves of politicians. So I thank the person who made that comment, and I would just like to challenge it. Join the SPN, participate in our activities, and we are going to see the possibilities that our ideas can actually become the only idea that will be accepted by the people. It's just a matter of time.
Okay, I'll read another comment I have here. This Olakosi Charles says, good morning, bro. Well done. Thank you, Bosi. And then Olugbenga Israel writes, kudos to you, dear brother. This is the right time for our youths to rise up and say no to selling and buying of votes. Let's try to remove old cargo politicians and vote in fresh blood. Nigerian youths deserve a better life. I'm sure you agree with that, Soweto.
Yes, I do. I agree with that.
All right.
Thank you.
We have a caller here. Hello, good morning.
My name is Kolawale Kazim from Okebado.
Kolawale Kazim from Okebado.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Your comment, or you have a question.
Yes, you got it right. I listened to your guest, and I've been to their parties before, and you said something that I didn't agree with, that they are not purist parties. They have purist parties that have been there. I'm a libertarian, and I...
Hold on, Kazim. You said they have what?
I said they are...
Okay, they are purists.
They are not purist parties.
Yeah, they are purists.
That's not because I've been to their party, to their branch here in Ibadan. And I'm a libertarian. So I talk to their people. I believe that they are sincere. But the way they talk, the man did not even want to entertain anything. He just believe that anybody that wants to be part of them must try to that socialist ideology. And the problem with socialism is we do with socialism, but what we are practicing now is socialism. And it has no work. That is the problem with society. I think if we can have a debate with them somehow. I don't know whether one day I will have to invite somebody and invite them. The problem with that system is because they are for me, their party is confused. Who are the workers? I try to really engage them. Who are these workers that you are talking about? Are these government workers, all those women these market women and other people, motorcyclists, all those people. This is that because workers. And that is where the problem is. The government workers are the ones that are making the country. That is where the problem is. They don't understand their own ideology themselves. They don't understand the problem. And they need to be brought to a public debate. I think that's my own take on what you said so far. Thank you.
Kazim, can you hold on?
Yes.
Okay, I love the part of Soweto will respond to you, but I love the part of it where you said you are a libertarian and you would like to engage the Socialist Party, right?
Yes.
I know Soweto does not run away from intellectual discourses. Maybe I could broker that engagement. I mean, we could have it live on radio.
That would be good. I went to the
Hold on, Kazim, hold on. Soweto, Kazim is asking if you're ready for that.
Yes, I am ready for that. I would like that.
Excellent. So Kazim, would you reach out to me after the show? Can you go to our YouTube page? Check for our video. Just drop your number there.
I don't know whether sometimes you'll be on YouTube. Sometimes you'll not be on it.
No, we're live on YouTube now. I was thinking maybe you could come in and drop your phone number
there. I'll write my phone number there, or maybe you can write your phone number, then I copy, then I call you later.
Okay, I do not want to put my personal phone
I'll maybe write my phone number there, okay?
You just put your phone number on the YouTube chat. I can see it.
Okay,
I'm watching it now. Just go there, drop your number there, and then just put Kazim so that I reach out to you later. We can arrange for this debate. This is what the podium is about. We like to interrogate.
That is exactly.
Excellent. Thank you, Kazim. Thank you for calling. All right, so Soweto, you should be able to respond to Kazim now. Maybe 2 minutes.
No, but the unfortunate thing is that I didn't catch much of what he said.
Okay, let me do a recap. Now, he said he visited your office, your party office in Ibadan, and that while he can speak to the sincerity of your guys, he believes your party is puristic. Now, you do not entertain people that have contrary ideas. Meanwhile, your party does not even understand who are the workers that they claim to be defending. So he said he is libertarian. He went to the party office with a view to probably joining them, but then he found that whatever ideas that are not in agreement with socialism are not welcomed. In fact, he made a claim that socialism hasn't worked anywhere in the world. So you want to respond to that in 2 minutes?
The first thing is, I'm actually a bit surprised that Kazim had that experience visiting our party office because the normal tradition in our party is that we are very, very open to everyone. So far, you don't support the status quo, but then your ideas or your solutions are different from ours. We are ready to accept you and engage you in discussions. We do not shut people down. Neither do we say that our ideas are superior to others. So I'm sorry that he had that experience. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. And I do hope that Kazim can connect with me so that maybe we can try to sort out whatever problems that they have.
Of course, he will connect with you. You are going to have a debate soon enough.
But then on the question of whether socialism has worked or not, I think this is not true. Because there has been no place where socialism has actually been given a chance to thrive. Because let's suppose that we have had a situation whereby, there are places where socialism has been allowed to exist for 20 years, for 30 years, and then you could make comparison. The Soviet Union, for instance, where you had the workers' revolution in 1917, it was only for a period of 5 or 7 years that the workers' government, was allowed to operate in an LD manner. Because as at 1924, which was 7 years after the revolution, you had a crisis developing, within the Soviet Union itself, which was a product of the fact that, immediately after the revolution, there was wars of intervention against the young worker state, which meant that for 4 years after the revolution, the workers were still fighting at the war front, trying to defend their country against the invaders. This, destroyed the economy so much that after the war, poverty and co became rife. And this also created a situation whereby the revolutionary, layer, came into the ascendance with the government of the party in the Soviet Union. And this was what led to what you call Stalinism. So when you look at this affair in the Soviet Union, you realize that socialism itself wasn't allowed to operate on an early basis for a very long period of time. And finally, today, there's nothing socialism about it, because already, China itself has become a capitalist country. Cuba is another outpost, which is trying to defend, ideas that are close to the ideas of socialism. But then, what is being practiced cannot be called, socialism in the real sense of the word. So, what I'm trying to say is that I don't think that Kazim can point to any real examples of where LD genuine socialism has been allowed to take place. That you can now make a comparison to say that socialism has not worked.
Okay.
But then I would just like to challenge Kazim that we should discuss further.
No, we're going to have it.
Discussing is that you should also try and visit the website of the party and try to check our manifesto so that you can not actually understand clearly what we are saying, so that you will know that you'll be able to differentiate between our manifesto and our programs from the usual propaganda against socialism that exists.
All right. So definitely we're going to have that engagement live on radio on the podium. You are willing to engage. Kazim is also willing to engage. And one of the things I'll definitely be looking out for is a conviction that socialism is not an impossible ideology. Now, because from all of the examples even you have given, socialism hasn't really worked as originally designed by the proponents. All right. Okay, we have 3 minutes to go. Can I squeeze in one more call? 070-55,949 and 080-97,949. I want to see if I can squeeze in one more. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, this is Kolawole Kazim. Please let me just give you the number. Like ask your phone, because I check your.
Okay, excellent. Please go ahead.
My number is 080.
080. Okay.
73.
73.
000.
Triple zero, right?
390. 080.
Yes.
73.
Yes.
080. 300.
Yes.
777. 390.
390 or 396.
390.
390. 080 73 000 390.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll give you a call right after the program. Thank you, Kazim. So kind of you. All right, Soweto, I think it's time to let you go now. It has been a very beautiful time discussing with you.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. I've also very much enjoyed myself.
And there's a comment on YouTube from Austin Odogi. I hope I got that name right. He said, very worthy discussion session. I think that's a commendation for you.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm going to touch base with you and Kazim so that we agree on an ideal Saturday where you both will come. It will have to be a live engagement, Soweto. I know you do not mind coming down to Ibadan. Ibadan is very close to you.
I don't mind at all. So that would even be much better, because a face-to-face discussion actually is the most appropriate way to
Excellent.
do this.
Excellent. So we'll come in here and interrogate this socialism thing and Kazim's libertarian ideology. I wish you a very beautiful weekend, Soweto. Thank you for obliging.
Thank you, Nigerians, for listening. Bye-bye.
And that was the program on the podium today. I do hope you enjoyed it and you were able to pick some very important thoughts that you could ruminate on till next week. Next Saturday, I will return 8 a.m. on the program with another exciting edition where we discuss the solutions more than we celebrate the issues. That is what the podium is about. I worked today with Kayode Obisheson, who is my studio manager. And special thanks to my supervising producer, Tayo Ogwade. My name is HEZEKIAH AKINRINDE. I will return to the airwaves tomorrow at 6 p.m. as the radio bishop on Gospel Cruise. I wish you a very beautiful weekend. Good morning.
When the people became silent,
the government became oppressive. It's time to lend your voice to politics.
On 32 FM 94.9.
Show me your 32.
ló mú ẹ kó pè é God bless you ogo pẹ̀lẹ́ Olúwa kó máa bá ẹ gbé pẹ̀lẹ́ o wọ́n lè kó bá wa ṣe sìnjà lé má dáa.
sáà mo wá gba búrẹ́dì mi
o wá gba búrẹ́dì.
mọ́mí mi ní kí n wá gba búrẹ́dì mi.
búrẹ́dì.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni sà.
ìyá ẹ ni kò wá gba búrẹ́dì.
ibi náà wọ́n júwe fún mi pé kí n ti wá gba búrẹ́dì.
bó ṣe sọ fún mi náà nìyẹn tó yà mí lẹ́nu. ta ni ìyá ẹ tó ní kó wá gba búrẹ́dì mi. ìyá ẹ wọlé ọ̀rọ̀ kó wá gba búrẹ́dì níbí. ibi jọ búrẹ́kì lójú yín ni. ta ni ìyá ẹ.
Láńṣílẹ̀ kí ló dé tó wá pẹ́ tó yẹn.
kí ni.
mo ní kó gba búrẹ́dì wá kó gba oní 80 naira márùn kó gba ọlọ́dẹ̀rà méjì àti méjìlá oní 50 naira àbó ti tán ni.
ó ti tán bò kí lẹ́ ń sọ kí ló ń sọ gan-an lọ́jọ́ Sunday sọ́mu yẹn dúró báyìí tó wọ́n mi wájú ẹ̀ báyìí ìdúró mi jọ ìdúró bread seller àbójọ bakery owner. èmi dàjọ manager bakery.
mo rò pé apron lẹ́wọ̀ ni.
ẹ jẹ́ gbọ́dọ̀ jàre kí ló máa ṣe ń gan-an apron lẹ́wọ̀n mo bẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ bread lánàá ni nígbà tá a ṣí church síbi tẹ́ẹ̀pẹ̀ ní bakery.
mo pàdé bọ̀dá kan lánàá wọ́n ní bakery làwọn ń kọ́ síbi pé délé bread.
This skit was performed by Woli Agba.
32 FM 94.9.
Make we not the list to see
32 FM.
A list to see
32
94.9. A list to see
32 FM.
Put on your
32 FM.
Dúpẹ́ ní Bàdáláwà
32
Àjàpẹ́ ẹ̀rín gbogbo wa ò sí
32 FM.
Ètò tó pójú owó
32 FM.
Humor essence
32
Entertainment sport information
32 FM.
Orin àgbọ́dúnú
32